Hi. So it's Wednesday afternoon, about 3 p.m. And the reason why I'm doing this live is because I had a phone conversation with a friend early this morning, and they told me that they woke up this morning to check my blog, to check my live, and they watched the one that I posted yesterday, and they got a lot out of it. And also I've had quite a few people tell me that they get a lot out of my blogs, and I question sometimes, am I doing too many? I keep thinking maybe I get codependent on Facebook, or and then when I get this backup information from people that no, it's actually fantastic, and always just keep going, just whenever I feel to do them. Felt to do a live all day, and I've been trying to work out what the topic would be. So just to backtrack, I did sleep pretty well last night, which is wonderful. I woke up 3 or 4 times throughout the night with quite big panic attacks, but was able to sleep soundly between the panic attacks. Woke up at about 5:30 a.m, which is a good time to wake up. Woke up with major trepidation. That's not necessarily a panic attack, but it's like a real heaviness that makes me like the world feels too heavy to face, and it's like I don't know how I'm going to get through the day, or I have to really work out how can I get my equilibrium to get, because my life is in a process of I'm having to do a lot of readjustments. So how I wanted my life to look and how I wanted my life to be is actually not how my life is. But in saying that, there's blessings abound. Like my bedroom is very safe and quiet and calm, and when I look out the window, the view is just absolutely stunning and very peaceful, and the birds are incredible. The house feels like a home mostly. I'm slowly unpacking, slowly getting the place organised. When I go out yard, I've been doing so much work on the garden, but the yard itself is feeling nicer and better to be in. Even though there's so much to do, what I have done gives me a sense of there's always so much beauty from all the plants that I've already planted, and they're growing so beautifully. And with my friend helping with the retic, things aren't struggling this summer like they did last summer, so things aren't dying on me, and that pressure isn't as extreme as it was last summer. So yeah, if I walk around the yard, I feel a sense of joy and peace and beauty. And then with the feeling of being here and my husband not being here, I also have transcended that, because there's been a big journey of what I've had to go through with him, and the way he is and my dynamic is, and I've had to learn a lot. And one of the things that's becoming more and more pronounced every day is that the level of psychological abuse that I have been accepting and tolerating for so many different reasons. One, as I've already shared with you, I was giving him lots of leeways because he's potentially autistic, untested autistic. So I was like giving him lots and lots of excuses and leeways there that I wouldn't give anyone else. 2, there was an attachment, a love attachment connection. Him being sorry, my ear's so itchy. Him being Zena, Alvin, please. Him being fearful, avoidant, and me being anxious, preoccupied. And the anxious and the avoidant, the anxious, the fearful, avoidant withdrawals, and the anxious and preoccupied, like claim, oh my God, please. Sorry. I've got a whole yard to play in, and it's really weird, but as soon as I choose to do a live, they come in, they're good, they've gone out. As soon as I choose to do a live, it's like they think, I'll come inside and I'll be really noisy. Yeah, the preoccupied, anxious attachment is to clamour to get their needs met. And if they don't have their needs met, they can become really irate and even use anger, but all they need is a hug. They just need to be contained in a hug. And the fearful avoidant, gives off mixed messages all the time, like, oh, I want intimacy, oh, no, I want intimacy, I want intimacy, I'm going to resist intimacy. And the way they resist intimacy is to hurt the other, so that's where you get the psychological abuse. So they're going, I want love, I'm going to open up to love, oh, this is beautiful. But then when it gets too intimate, too close, they push, but they don't just push I need space. They actually hurt the other. They create resistance by putting a clear boundary in place to ensure they're completely protected. And as a result, they actually do a lot of damage to the other who they purportedly love. So that preoccupied avoidant and anxious, preoccupied and fearful avoidant attachment style dynamic is really quite common. And the other way it looks is empath narcissist. So the empathic narcissist dynamic that many people know very well is the empath will give and give and give and give and give and give and give, and they just give everything in hopes that they can break through, in hopes that the other will, start to respond. And someone with narcissism learnt behaviour, so they don't have the frontal lobe or actual disorder, but they've just got narcissism learnt behaviours. It gets really confusing for the empath, and that's a trauma response. The empath is a trauma response, and the learnt narcissism is also a trauma response. So what actually happens is the learnt narcissist will do a knee-jerk reaction if they're not getting their needs met. So there's a sense of entitlement, a sense of non-empathy. So they want the other to do and be everything that they need, but they don't necessarily want to provide or give and create balance. And if what they need isn't being given, then they will withdraw or they will attack. But they don't attack in the really obvious sort of like blah, blah, blah way. They do it in a very sort of underhanded, low self-esteem way because... like the withdrawn way, they sort of go, oh, my needs aren't being met. What's going on with the dishes? Rah, rah, this and that, rah, rah. Or they'll go, oh, this is too much. Or so they don't necessarily go you, but they go, I don't like this. And there's just this yucky energy going on, and then you sort of, as the empath, going, oh my God, I've got to try to fix this up. Help, help, help. And it puts the empath into all this horrifying sort of nervousness, and then they're treading, try to fix the problem up, and the narcissist is going, okay, well, that's being fixed up, good, I've got that subconsciously, oh, that's all being fixed up, that person's now going to fix up all those problems, and I can sit back and keep doing nothing. That's one dynamic of the learnt narcissist and empathic, trauma, empath dynamic, and the fearful, avoidant, anxious, preoccupied dynamic. So I've been learning a lot about all of that, and that is all helping me to really put in perspective just how damaging, destructive, draining, the interaction that I have been having with the man who I chose to marry. And I've also had to accept that that he has actually never ever completely committed to, in full love, with full heart open, to what our marriage actually really means or what it really could be. Like there's always a sense of what is he going to get out of it, And I might give you a better view. I was going to go outside to the to my table out the front, but I've got my Bible open here. I've got some decorations up there, probably better than the exhaust fan. So basically, the reason why I'm here is I've got my Bible in front of me, and I've got my journal, and I just thought I would just do it while I'm inside, because just to synopsise, what actually happened today was when I woke at 5:30 with like horrendous trepidation, I was like, oh, I just don't know how to get through this day. And I had a feeling that last night when I went to bed, I had a feeling that today was going to be really hard because I had, you know, the 25th and the 26th, there were some planned things of what to do. There was some planned things of what to do, and that gave me a little bit of boundary. And today it was not working because I'm working tomorrow. Today was not working. I didn't actually have a boundary. I didn't actually have an actual set time frame of where to be or what to do. And so I woke up and I'm in this bed and I did my big prayer, and then I was like, I'm going to focus on, I'm just going to get up and I'm going to put my work clothes on and I'm just going to get out in that garden and I'm going to start doing whatever labour comes to me. Because what I was doing when my husband was here was, except for when he first came back after the first separation, I went to sloth mode and just snuggled into him. What I was doing most of the time from last year, November 4th to now, most days I forced myself to do a job every day, regardless of how I'm feeling. I have a list of things I want to do and I go, I'm definitely going to get one of those things done. If I hope to get 6 done, preference is 3, definitely 1. So I will actually have the willpower and the motivation. It doesn't matter how my body's feeling, it doesn't matter how much pain my body's in, it doesn't matter if I've got really full-on vertigo, it doesn't matter if I'm depressed, I just make myself do it, which is what my husband actually was attacking me for on the day that we had the fight, which was, I think 3 weeks ago now, which actually led to him leaving, was he was actually berating me for being motivated, and that's when my head went loopy. That was it. That was like the final straw for me. I went, all right, so I get berated for not doing enough, they want me to do everything, I'm not doing anything quick enough, and I've got to do everything, but at the same time, don't do anything, just be lazy, be with me, just be lazy with me, but I'm always going to complain about nothing getting done. It's like, this intense energy of his, right, of not stepping up to help out, nothing's getting done fast enough. Why are you so motivated when you've got all these injuries? Just be lazy like me. Let the house fall down around our ears. Let the garden die. Let the animals not be exercised. You know, that's maddening behaviour, right? And obviously it was a counselling topic. Obviously it's a topic that must be unearthed. Like, why? Why this need to undo someone's motivation that's actually benefiting all of us? Like, okay, you don't want to support it, you don't want to do massages or offer cups of teas or healthy food or thanks or appreciation or blah, blah, blah. Okay, you don't want to do that, but don't stop me. Don't actually put me down for being motivated. That is just beyond ridiculous. So this morning, if my husband was here, I would be motivated to get up to do something because I'm here with my partner. We're working on I'm working on the house. I'm working on our life. I'm working on our dream. So what's actually happening for me is I'm up here alone with my animals. My dream is shattered, but the dream was always shattered. The dream was shattered before we even came up, before we even bought the house. Before I even packed up Glanton Way, everything, packed everything. He just packed one tiny little box. I said, are you going to pack one box? I said, there's a box there, pack up your CDs. So I packed everything up in that house, everything. And then I unpacked everything. I said, you're going to unpack something? No, because if I put anything around, you just, all right, what about putting something away and just see how it goes? And when he did, I gave him to unpack one box. The places where he put everything made sense. And I'm like, you just got to have more faith in yourself, you know. But the point of the story is the dream was never really true because it was a fantasy. Like on his level, it was always a fantasy. Like he was obviously living somehow, like he had these ideals of how he wanted things to be. And in the visioning statement or the visioning times, like when we're buying furniture or when we're choosing colours for the walls or, You know, when we're doing that sort of stuff, like that playful stuff, he seemed to be very invested. But when it came to the time of making it real, he seemed to be just tired and withdrawn and not motivated and, you know, not inspired, and also putting me down for being inspired. So it took me a long time to... No, I realised very quickly, last year, that he wasn't connected to the land or the dream, and that shattered me. As I've shared with you quite a few times, you know, January last year was when I first started self-harm with the knife on my throat, because he was just in the house, sleeping, playing computer games, and probably watching YouTube, but definitely a lot of sleeping. And I'd be outside toiling because I wanted to make the land beautiful, because I wanted to. Finally got this beautiful land. I'm like, okay, I'm out here, woohoo, yay. And then it broke my heart that he didn't feel the same connection to the land or the dream or the house. And then at the same time, he was turning around and saying, because all the boxes were still unpacked, I'm going, well, you can actually unpack some boxes. You can be inside unpacking. I don't have to be unpacking. I packed it all up from Glanton Way in Dianella. I don't have to be the one that unpacks everything. You can also be part of it. I actually really love being outside right now. I'm hanging out to get in the garden. So, yeah, there was a lot of resentment that I just didn't focus on unpacking everything and make the house perfect and then do this and then do that. No. It's like, something inside me went, whoa, man, because when we're down at Perth, I literally was, when we get to know them, I'll push through this frustration of I'm doing 99.9% of everything. When we get to know them, it'll balance out. He'll be calm. He'll be motivated. He'll be, you know, involved. He'll care. He'll have the We got to know them, and it was the exact opposite. Like, because he stopped dreaming. He was like, oh my God, and he fell into a heap basically, and we didn't realise it, but probably in hindsight, he was probably quite depressed. But because of the changes of moving up from Perth to Northern, but also then the mandates kicked in, we're quite isolated, the world was going crazy, his fear kicked in, all sorts of things happened, right? We've discussed this to the nth degree, right? But the same things were happening for me. I was readjusting to Northern. The mandates were stressing me out. The stuff in the world was stressing me out. So I was just as stressed as him, but I wanted to make life work. Like, let's get the chooks happening. Let's get some eggs. Let's get the vegetable happening. Let's get the water tanks happening. Let's become self-sufficient. The world's going crazy. Let's focus on being self-sufficient. And at that time, we had $60,000 in the bank account, okay? So we actually had the money to buy water tanks. We had the money to get the chook pen up and running. We had the money to do this and this and this. But he was like, no. You know? Because he wanted to keep the money in his account for whatever, you know, even though the government might steal the money out of your account in a second. It's like fear-based. No, if we can get a water tank and we're saving water in winter, we're going to be okay in the summer. We won't be paying all these water bills. Or we get the chooks up and running. We've got protein. We can live on spinach and eggs and sprouts. And, you know, there's ways you can live on a lower budget if you've got no money, This started to really weird me out, that we were just not on the same page of self-sufficiency or gardening or making this beautiful land work. And then 3 weeks ago when he said, oh no, I didn't sign up for a life of slavery, I came up here to retire. I said, you came to an old house on a big block of land that was empty, had all this dirt everywhere. It was gravel and dirt and an old house that needed maintenance to retire. When you came from a bloody retirement village. It was in a 55s over retirement village where you paid strata fees and someone did all the work, you know. So he moved from that to a place where you've actually got to work the land and work the house, because he said that's what he wanted. But then when we got here, he wanted, in his head somewhere, he wanted probably to be back at the retirement village. It's like, really, someone who didn't really know was wanted. And then in the meantime, there's me just there getting buffeted around, like going, oh my gosh, I've got to try to make things work in this big mess that we're in. And my body was so broken at that point, because I did renovated the Glanton Way property, a year's worth of renovations in 3 months, because we started these renovations and then decided to sell the place. And then to actually sell the place, I had to finish the renovations. And I got so many injuries from working too hard, too long, hurt myself with power tool injuries, and then kept working anyways. Wasn't doing yoga, wasn't looking after myself, wasn't catching up with my friends. I just really did not focus on balance or myself, and that's where I really started to really not at all honour my being, okay, at all. That's where I got caught up in a very dysfunctional dynamic of trying to please him and, you know, making him so important, you know, everything, making sure he was okay at all times, even though he was doing very little to make sure I was okay. And that was a red flag that I was ignoring at the time, thinking when we get to know them, he'll pick up. When we get to know them, he'll be motivated, this and this and rah, rah. And then, you know, with the wedding, you know, like so much stuff happened with the wedding. I was just under the pump with the wedding, and it's just crazy. And then, so back to this morning, 5:30 this morning. Yeah, it's like my whole new life is ahead of me now of what my life in Northam looks in this house that, you know, I've shared with you guys over and over again. I wouldn't be in Northam and I wouldn't be in this house if it wasn't for this dream that Anthony and I had together, a shared dream. And I'm left with it on my own. I'm left here with a lifestyle that I wouldn't have chosen if it was just me. If it was just me making plans for myself, this is not where I would be or what I would be doing, okay? My life would look so different if I was making decisions just for me. So I'm here in a house with 3 animals on a big block of land, on a very limited budget with lots of body injuries, and a husband that I realise is emotionally avoidant and not committed and potentially never has been. And so shattered heart, shattered dreams, shattered life, and going, okay, well, I have to build up from here and make this work somehow, okay? Like, I've been completely betrayed by this person, completely let down, completely discarded. And so I woke up, and initially I had a lot of terror around the day. And then I got up, and the first thing I did was, okay, I'll make a coffee and I'll go to the love seat, because that's what we used to do. And I'm sitting on the love seat, and I decided to ring my friend Brad. I didn't necessarily know if I wanted to, because a part of me was like, I want to get through this day not having to ring someone or not having to do a live. I should be able to be self-sufficient enough to be able to get through these feelings without having to have my community always be there with me. Hey, Lynette. And I basically thought, no, I'll ring him because we haven't spoken for a few days and I just want to hear his stories around Christmas and everything, just keep it a casual conversation. And initially it started that way, and then of course he says, how are you? And I said, well, I've just got incredible amounts of trepidation, and all I see around me is beauty, and I feel safe and I feel comfortable, but I've just got this trepidation in me that it's like this heavy rock on top of me, squash me down, and it's like it doesn't matter if I'm standing up or laying down or walking, or it just this heaviness that I'm attempting to shift, to move to the next level of being really accepting of this reality that is my reality. And we had a really big long talk, and we talked a lot about the evilness of Satan being in my life. And I've had a lot of onslaughts from satanic forces most of my life. And we have to wonder why. And a lot of people have helped me. Well, I've come to the realisation, but also other people have helped me realise it's because the devil wants me gone. They want me on the devil's side, because I'm such a powerful person of transformation. I can create so much healthy transformation on this planet doing God's work, that the devil wants me gone. They want me dead. They want me gone. They want me evil or dead. And we firmly believe that last experience that happened in June and July, we firmly believe, a lot of us firmly believe, that the devil's intention was for me to commit suicide, was for me to be pushed to that level. And we do firmly believe or think, quite a few of us think, that Satan is in my husband now, working with him to make very, very unloving, unkind, destructive decisions, which are very damaging to everyone, including himself. And this is a scary situation, to be under such psychic attack, you know. But the place for me, where I'm going, for me, is more and more towards the Word of God. Like, it's the only thing that's making more and more sense. And I've always been very resistant to the Christian God thing because I thought everyone that followed the Bible was Christian or religious was a sheep, that they couldn't be strong enough within themselves to make life work within themselves. And I thought the Bible was just full of shit that, it was just a story that made up by masculine, patriarchal people that were trying to oppress women and all this sort of stuff. But the more I read the Bible, the more I realise it's beautiful. And this friend of mine, we had she rang me today and she read out Psalm 68.1, which is basically, let God arise, let his enemies be scattered. Let those also who hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, so drive them away. As wax melts before the fire, so let the wicked perish at the presence of God. But let the righteous be glad. Let them rejoice before God. Yes, let them rejoice exceedingly. Up to 4. Sing to God, sing praises to his name. Extol him who rides on the clouds. By his name, and rejoice before him. So what's actually happening is I firmly am accepting, regardless of whether some of you have resistance or a reaction to this comment, in my heart and in my body, I firmly know, for me, okay, so I've had God and Jesus in my life all my life, but I didn't name them as such. So when I was a child growing up, I used to pray, but I didn't know I was praying. So I was always talking to the sky. I was always talking to the trees and the sky. The adults and the humans in my life were not safe. I had no parenting. I had no support. I had no guidance. I had no boundaries. I had no safety. I had no safety anywhere. So I'd go to the trees for safety. I always went to the trees, and it's like the trees were my mum, okay? I'd go to the trees. Any tree I could find would be my mum, okay? And the tree would help me stay alive. And I could hear the trees talking to me. And I've had some pretty profound experiences. I've had some really profound experiences with trees that I'll talk to you about in the future maybe. And I've always prayed to the sky. I've prayed to the sky as if the sky was a parent, like a parental figure, and a very protective parental figure. So parental protective figure to me, loving parental protective figure for me, you could equate that to father, yeah, right? So father sky, and then mother tree. So without knowing it, I believe I was always going to God and Jesus anyways. So it was quite easy for me to transfer my belief systems to, once I got over my resistance to the legalistic Christians that are stuffing up religion, the legalistic people who make Christian bastardly and doing the wrong thing, you go back to the Word of God. It all made sense. It all made a lot more sense to me. And that's why I believe I'm under onslaught, because as a child growing up, I've always been praying. I didn't go to the realm of drugs or alcohol or superficial sex or vengeance and resentment and jealousy. I've also been one of these people when when I saw something good happen for someone else, I didn't necessarily... Sorry. Just got to get some water. Hang on. I've got this really nice apple juice here. So I have some apple juice. But basically, when I was a child growing up, and as a teenager and as a young mother, and as a young woman, when I saw something in someone else that I wished I had, I didn't go, oh, envy. I went, wow, that must be so nice. That must be so nice to have that. And then I started going, what would that feel like? And I would watch their little happy faces, like, because I was a struggling single mum and my kids. So when I used to see couples with their kids, I would go, wow, that must be amazing. That must be so amazing to walk along with your child, with your partner, holding your child's hand, and you push and swing together, and that child's laughing so much it's got their mum and their dad. Oh, that must be so beautiful. And I'd watch them and actually get joy from watching them. Not envy, but there was always this deep sadness of, wow, 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 I wish I could have that with my kids. And then, lo and behold, I ended up marrying Shane Robson. And I got to experience that with my two older kids, got to experience this beautiful stepdad, and then I had a third child who, you know, had a good, very good beginning, a very good, you know, what you call a normal family dynamic, to a degree, because my first husband was a passive-aggressive, and he was also a child. He lived with his mum until he moved in with me, and he just gave her his pay, and she paid for everything, the rent, the food, bought the food, did the cooking, rah. So he basically went to work, made money, came home, and on the weekend partied. So he went from that to me. And I was like, bringing up my siblings since I was 7. And so you can imagine that when Shane and I got married, I pretty much did everything. And I did everything because that's all I knew. And that was all fine until my brother died, and I collapsed and I couldn't do anything. I was just heartbroken for months when my brother died, and our household fell apart. Our family life just died because my husband was unable to do anything except for get up in the morning and go to work and make money. He could not do the bare basics of living, and he had to learn fast and hard, and he did. And after 3 months after that, we created a balanced marriage. And it was the most amazing marriage ever. But we were thwarted because his parents were so, his stepdad, his father and his stepmom and his mum and his mum's boyfriend were all just determined to get me out of his life. Why? Why? We were fine. We were happy. We were good for each other. I don't get it. So there's this pattern of people trying to get me out. Right? And it's like, when I'm only good for that person. So it's crazy, right? So is that evil? Is that the devil? And it's just, you know, my whole history, my whole fucking life has been based on an external circumstance of someone trying to fucking kill me or get rid of me. But I didn't do anything wrong. I never did anything wrong. All I ever did was be loving and kind and helpful and generous and authentic. So why this continuous onslaught? So there's all these friends who were saying, like, it must be that the devil just wants me dead. And the devil will never succeed with me dying. I will not die at my own hands, okay? I will not commit suicide. And these lives help me not to even go down that track ever again, because I'm in this house right now. My heart is broken. I'm shattered. Like, my life is not, you know, it's like, it's going to get there, and I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. But how long has that been going on for? I'm going to get there, soon. Oh, soon. It's like that when I was down at Dianella. Oh, when we get to Northam. Oh, Northam's the magical key. Everything's going to be fine when we get to Northam. And it wasn't, and isn't. But the good thing is that I'm in a beautiful house that needs a lot of work. I'm in a beautiful big block of land that needs a lot of work. But I actually 50% own this property, okay? And I have owned properties. I've owned 3 properties in the past, and they got taken away from me because of a very greedy ex-husband that, you know, and me not standing up for my rights or my kids' rights. So I have home security. And Northam is a beautiful place to live. And I've got some special good friends up here. Like, Northam is really working for me. So back to the process of protection. This phone call. So I'll go back. So 5:30. I couldn't get up. I was bedridden. I was up. I was awake. But I couldn't get out of bed. And I'm just looking at the sky going, you know what? I don't have anything that I have to do today. I can just stay in bed for a bit if I want. I'm just going to look at the sky. But if I start to fall melancholy, I'm going to get up straight away. So I was in bed looking at the sky, enjoying the sky, just feeling a sense of peace and not too much sadness. And then the sadness started to creep in because, and then I got up, get up. And I got up. And then as I got up, I felt this major trepidation. I felt like I was going to, outside please. No, Zena. No. Noisy play outside, please. Thank you. Basically, this heaviness just kicked in. No. Come on, Adina, you can do this. You've got this. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Come on. It's okay. And then I'll make a coffee. That's what Anthony and I used to do in the morning, just make a coffee. And I add my cacao, my malt, and then I go out to Love Seat, which is what Anthony and I used to do every morning. I'm sitting there. Just look at the beauty, calm yourself down. So I did that, and then I didn't want to, but I thought, look, I haven't reached out to Brad for a few days. It'd be good to catch up on his story. I'd rather not have to talk to anyone right now, but a part of me is feeling like maybe I should, because his heaviness is quite strong. So I ring Brad, and then we're on the phone for 2 hours, and then he said to me, I've wanted to talk to you for a long time about there's a lot that he has seen, and he's been trying to be nice about it, help me feel hope, this and that, rah. But he's just black and white stating, like that all he has ever seen is my life force being sucked by my relationship with my husband, and before we got married, absolutely my life force just like a vampire sucking my life force out of me. And that he's never really seen any balance come back, and we unpacked this to the nth degree of why did I bring him into my life? Like, was it the devil in disguise that brought him into my life? Was it the devil in disguise that brought him into my life? Was it all this time I think it was God bringing him into my life? Was that actually a devil out to kill me because they think that if I'm with him, then eventually I will commit suicide because they're the devil's in my husband. The devil is definitely in my husband's family. There's so much evil in that family, especially the brother. So, if there's that much evil in that family, I've finally come to accept that evil is also in him. And yes, that can be healed. But I have brought that evil, not just from my husband, but from his in-laws. Like, I've brought a whole family of evil, like a whole vortex of evil into my life, thinking that I was building up and going big and helping me out. So this is very confusing. I started getting very confused from this conversation with Brad. Very confused. I was just so confused by so much, which is why the Bible's really helping me out. And I just feel so small and little, and I just feel so under attack, but at the same time so protected, like everything's okay. And I know all I have to do is ring. There's so many people, all I have to do is ring, and they'll either come around these lives. People like you, Lynette, you're there now. It's like I reach out and people are there. I'm not alone in this at all. But I still feel this deep sadness that my whole life seems to be based on being attacked by the devil, trying to kill me, just tired of it, And then, anyways, and then I was going to try to get motivated to do work on the yard, and I just felt this real deep exhaustion, like I could barely move. And then I lay in my bed up until 1 p.m, so about 7:30 a.m. to about 1 p.m. No, that's not true, sorry. I rang Brad at 7:30. So from 9:30 to 1:30 in bed, but so snored, like I had the doona all the way up across my neck, pillows under me and all around my head, and a little gap for air, like I was in a cocoon. and I was almost going to take a photo of it. Alvin, enough, please. Come on. No. I was going to take a photo of how I was cocooning because it was like the most hardcore like cocoon you could imagine, and I was in there for hours, and all I did was want to stay there. I did not want to get up. And then I was okay. Most of the time I was resting. I even kept falling asleep. And then I started to feel this. Oh yeah, I had heaps of palpitations, heaps of heart palpitations, heaps of. Excuse me, I've just got to deal with Alvin. Enough, please. Enough. Come on. Sorry about that. I don't like it when he barks at the neighbour. And the neighbour's in her front garden at the moment. My neighbour, Anita, so I've got 15% left of this, my charge. I'm not going to move to the couch. I'm just going to shorten it. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I got out of my cocoon, and I was just feeling a sense of desperation. I thought, oh, maybe I should do a live. Maybe I should reach out. Whew, I feel like I'm suffocating. I just want to get out of this cocoon somehow and stretch and get out and big, and everything feels too scary, too much. I don't know, rah. And then there's this guy called Stefanos, who I've been following for years, and he's really good. And he's basically saying what is a forever man? And he goes, a man wanting to be in the relationship and wanting to go the distance with you. The man sets intentions and tells you, speaks directly, communicates his truth very clearly. He is in the relationship with me, and his actions match his words, willing to go the distance. And what he's saying is distance is being willing to get uncomfortable when life, the relationship and intimacy are challenged. Now, these are things that Anthony does not do. He's not committed to being in an uncomfortable energy when things about life, the relationship or intimacy are challenged. So if it's all rosy and good and great, it's like, oh, lovely, this is nice, la-di-da-di-da. But the minute a challenge comes in, he withdraws, and he will often say that I'm the reason the challenge is there, that I'm the reason the challenge even occurred at all. No, sorry, mate, that's life. That's actually life, and that's the interaction. That's two people interacting, right? So, and then the being willing and committed to the distance is not running. He keeps running. Twice now he's run, and to the very people that told him one day after the marriage, oh, come back to us. So he knows that they have no respect for the marriage. They will never give him good advice. They will never help him step up into honouring being uncomfortable within a life, relationship or intimacy challenge. They'll only ever help him stay small and block connection, and as a result, evil and, disconnected. And when he realises and takes ownership of his part of the dance, which just does not happen. So when I read all this, it's so clear. The commitment has never been there from the beginning, even when everything was la-di-da-di-da, taking ownership of his part of the dance. So it's a joint dance, and there's a joint interaction here. And when things are going difficult, well, life can get difficult, right? Life has uncomfortable moments. Albert, I've had enough. Thank you. Just relax. When life gets uncomfortable, it's really important to step into it and work it out in a proactive manner. Well, that's what adults do, right? That's what life is. There's an uncomfortable challenge. Let's look at some solutions, okay? Now, if you're with someone that actually never wants to look at the solutions but just wants to run, you've got nowhere to go with that person. They're not even there. You're there on your own. You're actually there on your own. There's no partnership there. Well, that's what it's been like with this person. And the more I accept this, the more I accept, So he wants to try and blame me and put me down for everything that's not going right. But the reality is he was never in the relationship. He never worked as a team. He just wanted me to make his life great, just like a little kid. He wanted me to do everything and make everything work for him to have his retirement. Well, that's where he didn't speak the truth. Because he said, I want to marry you so I have a lifelong carer and I'm going to do nothing and you need to do everything. And also, when you do everything, I'm going to constantly harass you because you're not doing enough, and I'm going to constantly harass you because you are doing something at all and you're not just relaxing being a sloth like me. So if he'd actually said the truth, by the way, I'm never going to work on the land, I'm never going to do anything in the house, I might do dishes sometimes, I might do some food sometimes, but I'm going to complain like hell that I have to do it. Those times when I do it, I'm going to complain about it. Like, would I have married the guy? Oh, and let's move to a small country town where I'm going to leave you isolated. Yeah, this sounds great, mate, this sounds great. And then, so he's part of the dance. And then it says, the man stays around. When it's uncomfortable, they stay around. They stay around. They don't run off and shut contact. They actually stay around. And you can stay around and have time out. You can stay around and actually have your quiet, reflective time, but still work it out in an adult manner, And a man who cares, actually cares about the well-being of the animals, of the plants, of me, of us, whatever. The car maintenance, everything. It's someone who cares, you know what I mean? And someone who still focuses on the container of the relationship. So the relationship is a vessel, right? So they care about the vessel of the relationship. Anyway, all of that is a good indication that he wants to be there and that he's there for healthy reasons and not codependency or insecure attachment. So this is where, again, I've had to become really aware that my husband had married me based on insecure attachment. And a man willing to do his own inner work and to work on and in the relationship. So he's a man who doesn't work on or in the relationship. He doesn't do therapy about himself or about the relationship. Not committed to working out the container and the vessel and the parameter, and this may happen. Like, you never know, because the story goes that he rang my friend today, Desiree. So she left him a message a week, and she invited him to the 26th of December, said, we're going up to Dee's, we're going up to your house on the 26th, we'd love to see you, God's blessing, all that sort of stuff, right? So he knew that he knew I had people coming up here on the 26th. Again, he could have seen the dogs and there would have been people around. But he actually rang her, and then he sent her a text message because of missed call, and then she has now written him a message, and she rang me to tell me that he rang her, and part of me is like, wow, this is big, because I have been praying for him to reach out to some of our good friends, and this is where then my hope kicks in that maybe he will start stepping up and creating a partnership, and God's grace and with God's full protection, you never know what the future holds. And if we can, expel the devil out of this interaction, if we can expel the devil out of my husband, and if we can expel the connection that my husband has with people that got the devil in them, and also we could heal for them, we can heal their devil, and we can help heal that whole family, you know what I mean? There's nothing to say that God won't help heal the whole family because of all of this. And my outcome of all this is very clearly looking at the devil is definitely still trying to bring me down, and I've never reached out to God and brought God so much into my life as what I am now. So that never again do I believe that I will have people in my life that are just out to damage me and kill me, So that's why I'm begging for God's protection, and I think I'm receiving it. And reading my Bible now, and I've got my little Bible study journal, which is really cute. That was my Christmas present to myself. Peace for my anxious heart, 180 Bible readings for women, broken up into chapters. like keeping your peace when and what chapters to read, keeping peace when under stress, keeping peace when aggravated, keeping peace when depressed. It's really an awesome little journal. So I'm getting there. So God is in my life in a way God has never been in my life before. And I am not ashamed to say this. I still won't call myself a Christian per se, but I sort of do now, more so than ever before. And it wouldn't have happened without this marriage to my husband. So I still believe on some level God is in this dynamic. I still believe that something is happening with God in this dynamic. I still believe it. And these lives that I'm doing, I am getting a lot of feedback to do them more often. Don't be shy about, don't feel like I'm being codependent on the community or, screen time, or like when I talk to you guys, like when I'm doing these lives and I talk to you guys, I actually feel like I'm talking to you and you feel like you're in my life right now. And then what happens is that loneliness, I know for a fact I'm not lonely, alone. So I know for a fact I'm not alone. And then it emboldens me on this journey of writing my books, getting my blogs up, writing my books, getting the curriculums I want to write, like getting the house organised enough that I can get my therapy practice in place and my library set up so I can actually start writing my book, which is always what I was destined to do, with or without, regardless whether Anthony is here or not. Because I would not have this home in Northern with this peaceful environment when Alvin's not barking, with my beautiful dogs and this great authentic community that I'm creating. I wouldn't have it if I hadn't met or married Anthony. So how do we deny the God in a transaction, or it's very confusing, everyone. I mean, sorry for the sniffles. I would love to hear your feedback on this. I'm getting too much validation about God does permit obstacles for they're called Heaven's Pebble Steps, and they're for learning. They're actually to help us learn. So without the pebble steps, the Heaven's Pebble Steps are the challenges. And I can't remember if I wrote it. I don't think I wrote it down. It was one of the most, it's in that other book. Yeah, it was one of the most profound statements I've ever read, which I will write down and read out next time. But all the different levels, it was like betrayal. I wish I could find it. I'll talk about that next time. That was a big eye-opener, though, about God permitting challenges as Heaven's pebble stones for successful, what was it called? Successful, for overcoming. So the process of overcoming a challenge puts us into the deeper understanding, the deeper knowledge, the deeper secrets of what life is actually really about and what our God's journey is. And then as a result, we can really be doing God's service. So that's a lot. And all my grief and despair about what's going on in life, I have this incredible excitement, this most deepest excitement of what is to come. I just can't sort of wait to get to that place where the deep, heavy grief isn't there. I just wish to gosh I didn't have this deep, heavy grief. It's always there. It's like I could cry at the drop of a hat. Like the grief is just so deep of the tragedy of it all. The tragedy. But the Bible is full of tragedies, and it's full of people having tragic experiences. and it humbles us to the core of our being, and knocks us down to our knees, and then allows us to get to the core of what's really of value, you know, and that is honesty, kindness, genuine inquiry, like real deep not pleading, but real sort of fervent inquiry, like, yeah, I really want to, you know, like the quest, getting onto a quest of learning. Nadia, I'd love to see you. You used to always inspire me, and I was so happy when you came to our wedding, and you're the one that, with your husband, that said that you knew that I would have joy in marriage. And you know, at the wedding, it was so, absolutely so, like, wow. This man of, what was it, 12 or 15 years. And here we are finally committing to each other. And I thought I'd get what you and your husband have. And still working out this journey of mine, and working out how, I really love this Bible of mine. It's got these really thin pages, see, super, super thin. It's a really beautiful Bible. Yeah, anyways, protection, Psalm 68.1 to 4. Yeah, but no, see, the thing is, right, you and Willow Shanks and, there's about 4 or 5 of you that, you, Nadia, you really helped me. Oh, battery power's going to 5. I'm going to have to charge it up, bugger it. I'm going to have to move to a different site. But basically, I'm going to shut it down soon, close it down, get in the garden. Basically, I just, you guys have built up my self-worth. I didn't know my self-worth was so low. And your lives that you used to do, Nadia popping in. I love that when you used to go, Nadia popping in. That's so cool. Back then I had limited data, so I had to be careful how many times I went on. But yeah, I basically, you guys really helped me develop my self-worth, and I didn't realise just how shattered and low my self-worth was, really, up until, like, Free, Nadia, Willow, there's some others, Tamara. Yeah, please. I miss them, and I want a token thing like you. No, you're popping in. I want to go. I want to come up with a catch cry as well, because full of wisdom. I learnt a lot from you, and Willow does a lot too, and so does this lady Amber Lee, and they're really inspiring. And look, I've been getting a lot of feedback. That I had someone tell me today that they were checking to see if I'd done a live recently. Like, they're actually looking for my YouTube. I started a YouTube vlog about a week ago now, and oh God, there's so much to do. Good. I'm glad you're going to start again. Even do a YouTube channel. They're really easy to set up. I don't have a computer set up yet, so I find it hard to upload my videos, but I'm actually, once you get 50 subscribers, you can do live YouTube channels. Yeah, cool. And the other thing is so yours is about health coaching, mine's about surviving probably mental health issues, and I just can't wait to get all my videos up because some of them are really raw. Like when I was hell suicidal, they're really raw, they're dark, but I got through them. And the survival techniques, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm eventually going to get mine very formalised and a bit more like a training program, a little bit. And then through that, I'll eventually get my curriculum workbooks created. I've already got most of the curriculum workbooks created. I've been creating them for the last 15 years. I've just got to actually get it up and running on the computer and collate the information. And I'm really good at page layout work. And then I'll just, get them published and use them as part of the... Yeah, well, the thing is, I've actually got a therapist who uses my lives as part of her therapy with some of her clients. So she actually says to one client that I'm aware of, watch these lives from this woman, me. So she uses my lives as part of her